Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to
Sunday hybrid service.
We are in person and on Zoom. The land on which we join together in worship is the unceded ancestral territory of the Ahashiman and Tongva tribes. We offer our immense gratitude to the First Nations for their care and their continuing teachings about our earth. My name is Rachel Daniels, and I'm
I couldn't figure out why until I went from 184 to 123.
Reverend Dr. Terry LePage. Her sermon is titled Deep Roots, Open Hearts, Humble Actions, Compassion for Hard Times. We started today's service with the music video Remember Me by Wild Choir. Remember me to the earth, more kindness, less blindness, and we thank Reverend Terry for bringing this beautiful video message to us. Everywhere on Sunday mornings, Unitarians locally, nationally, and globally light the chalice to open the worship spaces. Please light a candle at home if you have one nearby, and I will read our chalice lighting words as Brian, my husband, lights our chalice here in the sanctuary. And these words are from the UUA website. It's called A True Story. A burst of sunlight appears through leafy branches. This chalice is for the living, the changing, the becoming. This chalice is for losing the script of your life, the chapters about who you are in other people's stories. This chalice is for the lost GPS that was supposed to show you how to get to where they expected you to go. This chalice is for skipping the directions, coloring outside the lines, painting not by number, but by silence, by wild abandon. With a brush, you made yourself from light deep inside. Startling, vivid, a new voice that already knows you. Finally, a true story. Thank you, Brian. And for those of you on Zoom, I'm laughing because somehow Brian always gets a round of applause when he lights our chalice. Our main doctrine in Unitarian Universalism is love. We are the church of the open mind, loving heart, and helping hand. We accept you for who you are. We recognize that each of us is on our own unique spiritual journey, and you're invited to explore your spirituality with this community in a non-judgmental, open-minded, loving religion. We share the values of the 8 principles, and if you're here in the building, the 8 principles are on the back of your order of service. And for anyone new on Zoom, you can go to our UUFLB website and you'll find the principles there. And it takes a village to run our church: the board, worship committee, audio-visual, text, music, keeping the building together, the beautiful flowers outside, new windows, paint, and then we have our coffee and cookies and Jean Paris getting fresh donuts here every Sunday. And we also have clean washed cups. So we thank everyone for keeping this together. And now for our announcements, Don will put up a slide that shows our upcoming services. Next week, we have Charles Langley, Public Watchdogs. He's from Public Watchdogs. And although we don't have a title, when Public Watchdogs was here previously, they spoke about the nuclear waste and the unsafe storage of it down in San Onofre at the nuclear generating station. And then when I went quickly to their website, I saw that they had information on California Assembly Bill 205, which I knew nothing about, and it's a new tax on California residents, which apparently will be calculated by energy usage. Anyway, there's lots of interesting stuff that Public Watchdogs is into, and so please come next Sunday. Then on the following week, on March 17th, Don West Jr. will be here with another insightful and thought-provoking Sunday service. And then right after Don speaks, we're going to have a luncheon, and we'll also incorporate with the luncheon or right after the luncheon, during the luncheon, I'm not sure, but we'll have a letter writing to selected nonviolent drug prisoners. And these are the nonviolent ones who got caught up in the federal government's war on drugs. You know, first-time offenders who ended up getting 25 years and crazy stuff. And so we'll be doing a letter writing to them to show our support. And then on March 24th, we have Haven Beck. And Haven will be speaking to us about recognizing and resolving trauma. Haven's a certified trauma coach, and she'll discuss trauma work in general and how past trauma may be affecting our lives today in unknown ways. And then on March 31st, we have our very own Phyllis. And Phyllis will bring us her insights into the life-changing book, The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. And just two more announcements, well, maybe three. Next Thursday is March 7th, and it's the first Thursday of the month. If you want to help, it's an opportunity to help those in need, and this is at the alternative sleeping location out in the canyon, and we provide a meal along with tapestry to these folks, and you don't have to bring the entire meal, you just provide a component. And again, we do this along with tapestry the first Thursday of every month. And if you want more information, see Paul, Dara, Candy, and they can give you more information on how you may bring a dish. And then every Monday at noon, we have our Zoom at Noon discussion group. Paul Bogdan is the wonderful host, and it's just a chance to get to know people better. We always have discussion topics each and every week, which we rarely get to, but it's just a fun way to sort of talk to people about what's going on in their lives and share what's going on in your life. And everybody's welcome. And then there's a board meeting on March 11th. I just thought I'd throw that up there because it's coming up. Now, as Sue plays just a little bit of music, and maybe with her husband, we have two guest musicians today. We have Sue and her husband Richard, and as we walk around the room and say hi to people, Sue will play just a little bit on the piano. And let's take a moment to say hi to each other, and for those on Zoom, please go ahead and say hi to yourselves.
Hi, Jean. Hi, Dawn.
Good morning.
Looking good, Jean.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Any wind problems up there, Carolyn?
yeah,
Lots of rain, and which is a good thing. And yeah, other than that, the community is in good shape.
It's very windy here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like 50 to 70 miles an hour, depending on where you're at.
I think we had high winds maybe the night before last. Yeah.
We'll take some rain too, but they gave us lots of wind.
Wow. How is it down south, Jane?
rainy. And
Oh,
the sun will come out, and then 10 minutes later it's raining, and it'll stop for a while, and then
starts again, huh?
starts again, little spurts of rain. But
Harry, are you at church or at home?
Who? Oh,
Harry?
Harry's at church. Harry's at church. Harry's at church. He's actually
Oh.
standing in front of the laptop.
Ah, okay.
He uses his phone to read the captions.
I see. That's interesting. Huh.
We've been trying to find a solution so that he can because our what is it called, audio assistance headphones, they don't work for him. They don't get it to where he needs it to be.
Uh-huh. Huh.
We're back, everybody.
Okay.
Okay. And usually before we do our meet and greet, we ask if there's any visitors that would like to identify themselves. And I know we have Hans here, but Hans, you don't have to identify yourself. Okay, and we also have a new Mrs. Radcliffe is here, so. But you don't have to identify yourself either. So we're going to read our centering thought right now, as Don puts it up there. And if you can unmute, we'll read it together. And for those here, let's read this together. Okay. And it's brought to us today by Rumi. In generosity, and helping
others
like
be
a
like a river.
in compassion,
Compassion and grace
the
be
sun,
like the sun.
in
And
concealing others'
conceiving
faults,
others' faults
like the
be
night.
like the night.
Thank you. And as I mentioned before, today's sermon is titled Deep Roots, Open Hearts, Humble Actions, Compassion for Hard Times. We have our returning guest speaker, who's one of my favorites, Reverend Dr. Terry LePage. Reverend Terry is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. Reverend Terry previously worked as a research chemist. And Reverend Terry eagerly supports low-wage workers, immigrants, and incarcerated people because of Jesus' teachings and example. She is active with C.L.U.E, which is Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. Reverend Terry resides in Irvine with her husband and is the author of the book, Eye of the Storm, Facing Climate and Social Chaos with Calm and Courage. And Reverend Terry, before Reverend Terry does our call to worship, she has a couple of announcements and our call to worship.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be back with you. The book is on sale, $10, if you want to give a gift copy, because you guys were like my best percentage sales anywhere. And the election is on Tuesday, but at your local library from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today and tomorrow, you can go vote in person. And even if somebody in your family is not registered to vote yet, they can still go vote in person. You know that voting matters, and what a lot of people don't know is that we have open primaries. So the seats that are not national, if 2 Democrats make it through the primary, 2 Democrats will be there in November. If 2 Republicans make it on the primary, 2 Republicans will be there in November. So your vote matters. And take a deep breath. We've been warming up and leading into this time that we set apart for worship, for getting real, for checking in with our hearts, for opening to the universe, for being with each other in time out of time, in sacred space, to remind ourselves what really matters. Thank you for being with us today. Together, we worship.
And now, please stand as you are able while our guest musician, Sue, and I think along with her husband, Richard, will lead us in our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. The words will be on the screens, and please stand as you are able.
Morning has broken like the first morning. morning, blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet rains the new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Now, please unmute those on Zoom and those here in the congregation. We are going to read together a short affirmation to remind ourselves why we come together. And we'll be reading this together, and the words will be on the screen. Love
Love is the
is the spirit
of this fellowship,
law
and service is its law.
to dwell
This is our great covenant,
seek
to dwell together in
peace,
peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Nice. Now we're going to pause our recording for joys and sorrows. And one of the ways is by your financial support. We'll have a slide up that shows ways to donate, and Paul will pass the basket while Sue and Richard delight us with some music. Do I play now? This one? Oh, just.
from you.
Please stand as you are able, and we'll join a circle. We do this twice in the service. We do it now as we sing to each other. The words are on the screen, and we'll be singing them through twice. And then we also do it at the end of the service, where we join and make a circle together.
Okay. From you
I receive,
to you,
you I give,
and together
together we share
and from this,
this sweet.
from you I receive, to you I give, and together we share, and from this we live.
Thanks, everyone. And now I'll turn it over to Reverend Terry for our meditation.
I sat down to write a sermon this week, and a poem came out instead. Then I sat down again and wrote a short sermon. So the meditation for today will be that poem. It's a very meditative poem, so I hope it works in this format. I trust that it will. And it's called Finding Our Way Home. Let us reclaim all our relations, the web of life that encircles the earth, humans, tiny brilliant nodes in a vast and intricate whole. Pause now and greet your relatives, human and non-human. Greet the sea, beloved sea, a few blocks from our door and spanning half the planet. The sea that pulses in our salty blood. The sea that convulses with heat and plastic waste and acid carbon. Oh, sea, forgive us. We thought you had no limit. We forgot to honor you. So now we begin. You, ancient sea, you remember when you held all life and land was bare rock. You, Mother Sea, you will crash over us someday in the great melting. And you will witness the next bloom of life long after we're gone. Here, now, tides pull on our bodies, breezes cool our fevered shore. Beloved sea, we thank you, and we seek to show you respect by our actions. Greet this land full of life, sacred home to the Ahashiman people, driven to slavery and exile, shattered, but now arising. O people of this land, let us earn your forgiveness by our respect of land, by our respect of you. Greet the cliffs, the beautiful cliffs, adobe, sandstone, granite, sagebrush, and sunflowers, torn by us, decorated with stucco and asphalt and ice plant. May we show you respect before you demand it when you return home to the sea. Greet the trees that give us shade, native oaks, eucalyptus far from home. Give deep thanks to the trees that hold up our homes, redwood, Douglas fir, and pine, giants sacrificed to shelter us. Treasure those lives giving us shelter. Honor them each time we enter our homes. Greet the lives that feed us, animals and plants and fungus who feed us with their bodies. Give thanks for their sacrifice that sustains us. Greet the human laborers who plant and pick and drive and stock shelves with our daily bread. Greet the fossil life burned as fuel to farm and truck and cook. Eating and breathing the world around us, why did we think we were separate, apart, special? Greet the whole, the human and non-human, the microscopic and the cosmic, all around us, all in us. We belong, and we owe amends. Now, feel our entanglement with everything, the beautiful and the dignified, the messed up and the broken, the hidden and the shamed. Let the metabolism of life on earth envelop you, blooming and rotting, eating and pooping, the dance of life. Seasons of flourishing, seasons of loss, and nothing ever thrown away, because there is no away, only one great web. Can you remember when we thought we were better than, wiser, more powerful than the web that gives us life and breath, water and food, composts our waste and brings forth new life? All that was exiled in our hurry to be modern, efficient, prosperous, all that was destroyed, human and non-human, as we remade the world to serve our culture of separation. All this we cannot undo. Instead, let us do honor to the non-human world. What we cannot save, we can still savor. Savor with gratitude, deep gratitude. Sigh now, like the sigh of the waves below us, and then join hands and begin the new, old work. Begin mourning, begin celebrating, begin humbly questioning the things we once held sacred. Tend to our mourning, sit with the brokenhearted, human and non-human. Listen, just listen, don't pretend to fix. Hold the pain. Trust that the same web of life that feeds you forgives you. Will not let your heart be broken apart, but wide open, open to loves you never knew existed. Tend to your celebrating. Throw us a party, please. Sing and dance. Do it badly, it's okay. Do it boldly. Do it for your ancestors. They knew how to dance. And for your relatives, all of them, human and non-human. The whole planet full. Out of practice, singing and dancing? Practice then. Dance in your living room, dance on your patio, sing to the sunrise each day. Celebrate the food you cook. Celebrate each face you meet. The face in the mirror, too. Let celebration remove your fear. Let celebration fill your emptiness. Let celebration shine in and through you. And tend to the humble questioning of things we once held sacred. Progress? How many mountains need to be leveled for that? Certainty. Would we rather be right or be in relationship? Profit, good deals, who's really paying the price? Avoid purity, it's an illusion anyway. Show me your flaws and I'll show you mine. May we together be islands of compassion, refuges for the lost and despairing, wellsprings of healing, and people who know how to party. May we find our way home. Amen. Well, that was a rather long prologue. It's the longest poem I've ever written in my life. And as I said earlier, I have a soft spot for you folks in my heart because you kept me company through the formation and launch of my book. And even though I gave you one thoroughly depressing sermon, you still invited me back. I promise not to be depressing today. I wanted to branch out and preach on a different book called Hospicing Modernity by Vanessa Andreotti, although the last name will appear different, and I meant to bring it, but I forgot. I tried to make a sermon out of that book, and I did not manage it. I could not get it to preach, but it did produce a poem, so there you go. I keep clarifying my message in the book, and I keep getting to try it out on you. So maybe someday you'll be preaching it to me. But here's the current version in a nutshell. I do believe that hard times are coming. Economic, ecological, social. What can we do to serve life in hard times? Well, we can grow our roots deep. We can open our hearts wide. And we can step forward with humble actions, not to save the world, but to love it and care for it. Our society doesn't teach us those things, I think, so we get to learn and practice them together. Because people are going to panic and people are going to despair, and it's to those of us who have deep roots, who are committed to action, who are willing to open our hearts, to reach out, to make a difference. Because whatever is happening on the outside, we get a chance to hold love and peace in our hearts, and it makes a difference. So, what do I mean by deep roots? Well, here's a quote from a book I wrote. A sense of self that can withstand the disruptions we face is found in wider and deeper identities than modernity has to offer. A secure sense of belonging to a family, community, place, culture, or spiritual tradition is an anchor in the storm of climate and social chaos. A sense of belonging, deep roots. So I have in me these stories of modernity, the one with the most wins, you know that one? Ever progressing, compound interest, the more you have, the more you need. Those things play in me, and they play in really strange ways, like I need to do more service, and more service, and more service. I'm human, you know? But underneath those stories of modernity is something older and deeper. It's the stories of Jesus. And I go straight to the source, and I take everything with a grain of salt, and then I go into prayer, into meditation, into the real. And what I discover there is not your reality, but it's my reality and my deep truth. And it sustains me and it roots me deep. So now I want to ask you, what are your deep roots? Spiritual, relational roots, or maybe they're principles. And this is not a rhetorical question, I'm actually asking you to speak up. And I know for white people in a sermon, that's almost impossible, but give it a try. Family. Family roots you. Friends and yoga. Yeah. Community and nature. Yeah, and boy, nature is a big one for a lot of us. Dogs. The mediators of unconditional love to humans. Yeah, and play. Music. Yes, we have to have music in our worship services. Compassion, that guiding value. Books, reading, the ability to enter worlds and realities beyond our everyday through the wonder of books. Wow, thanks, you guys did really well at that. Okay, so, and of course, as Unitarians, you know that there's not one right way to do this. It's what works for you, and if what you're doing isn't working, for goodness sake, try something else until you find something that does work. Yes, I'll have to wait and see what happens when, so the question is open to people on Zoom. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so deep roots. Nurture those roots. Don't pretend that, so one lone human is just not very strong or resilient. We need to grow our roots deep. We need to remember that we're part of a vast network of love and care, however that looks to you. And what do I mean by open hearts? Now, it could be kind of trivial, but that's not what I mean. I have a quote by Brené Brown to start Open Hearts. Compassion is not a virtue, it is a commitment. It's not something we have or don't have. It's something that we choose to practice. And the harder the situation is, the harder it is to keep your compassion, and nobody can do it 100% of the time. Maybe some saints, but you know, I'm not a saint, and I don't expect to preach to any. So, an open heart has often been broken open by pain and suffering, experiencing it or witnessing it. When you experience it, there you are. There's not much you can do about it. When you witness it, you may have a choice to turn it off, to run away, and you may have to exercise that choice if you're overwhelmed, if you're just unable to deal with it. But compassionate witnessing, accompanying people in their pain, that's an open heart when you can manage it. And we can't. The pain of the world is too vast for our little tribal minds. You know, we can deal with pain of a group of people about this big, right? And it matters that we go and find people who are not in our little social circle so that our heart is opened to people in very different circumstances than ourselves. And for me, that has been people who are living out of their cars and pretending that they're not. And it has been people who are immigrants facing deportation. And people who, well, one gentleman who waited 6 years in county jail before he got his trial. 6 years. He has 3 little kids, but they're not so little now. That's heart opening, and it hurts like hell. And you don't have to do it all the time. But once you do, there's a camaraderie of broken hearts. And if you have to do it alone, you might shatter. But when we do it in community, when we share our pain, when we grieve together, weep together, we can hold so much more love. And we weep because we love. We grieve because we love. And I'm pretty sure you've heard me say that one before. An open heart knows how to let the emotions pass through and not get stuck for too long, meshed up with grief and, with shoulds and guilt and blame, because those things happen, but they do not serve an open heart. They clog up our heart, and so we learn to release them. So there's a skill to having an open heart, and there's a lot of courage to having an open heart. Those who in our modern age will not hold suffering in their hearts, who will not grieve, are living in a polite fantasy, kind of detached from the real world. The rest of us are frequently stuck facing moral distress. How on earth can that happen? And not knowing how to fix it, but holding and loving anyway. We need your brave and open hearts. We need a little acceptance that it matters. Even if we can't fix something, it matters that we witness it, that we hold the pain, that we love. Holding all that we cannot save in our hearts, they may break open, but our tears will water the web of life, and our fears are composted into new beginnings somewhere. As we reach out in trust, we will take humble actions. And that word humble is there for a reason, because I'm having a real issue with all the things that I think I should be able to accomplish. You know, I should just be able to fix this political situation and all these terrible things that are happening, and I just can't. And you may think you can, and more power to you, but I'm really struggling with all that I can't fix. So here's some words on humble action from Václav Havel. Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something is worth doing, no matter how it turns out. We do what we can, whether or not it seems futile by the success orientation of modernity. Maybe we can't save something, but we can savor it. We can know that it's worth loving and proclaiming justice and shining a light, because the world needs your light. Even if it seems like too small a light, it's a tiny, beautiful, essential light of love and justice in this world. So do something beautiful, do something loving, do the right thing for you. Don't let somebody else tell you what to do. There's too many things to do. Oh my God, there are too many things to do. You don't have to do everything, and you don't have to do somebody else's calling, but it sure is fun to do stuff together. So I am currently on a project of figuring out what I can stop doing. Meanwhile, I keep thinking of new things to do. One thing I started doing recently was hanging out with my neighborhood's sustainability committee. Now, isn't it a gift that we even have a sustainability committee? And here I am, the grumpy one who says, well, you know, it's not really sustainable. But you know what was the first thing those gracious women did? They said, let's have a book study of your book. Amazing. I was so honored and gifted. And they struggled, and they disagreed sometimes, and they agreed other times, and together we learned a lot. And then the next thing we did was we were grousing about the universities building denser faculty housing. Okay, so they tore down some old apartments, kind of wasteful, but you know how it goes. But they also tore down all the trees surrounding them. These were not old growth trees, only 50 years old at max. But we loved those trees. They were our friends. We greeted them every day as we walked to and from work on campus at UCI. So I said, how about if we have a grief ritual for the trees? And they said yes. And they planned it. I didn't have to. And about 18 people came, and we cried, and we mourned, and some people said angry words, and we lit candles. We did not change the trees. The trees were already gone. But we honored the trees. We thanked the trees. And we committed to seeing, because the next 2 plots that are due for renewal, maybe we can save a few trees on those plots. So, humble actions. Maybe we can't save any trees on those plots, but we can just tell people trees matter. They're not like sidewalks that you can just dig up whenever you feel like it. Give them a little respect, please. Doesn't change the world, but it changes our hearts. It changes our relationship to the world. So, do something countercultural. Befriend a tree. Advocate for something, whether or not you're able to save it. Tend and befriend instead of acquiring and achieving. Invest in relationships. Invest in places and people. And throw a party and invite people you barely know. So, that's humble actions. By the way, throwing parties is definitely what followers of Jesus should be doing, because that's what he did. Deep roots, open hearts, humble actions. This is my offering to you of how to have compassion in hard times. That's my message. Let me know how it works out for you. And what comes next?
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on you, call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Little guitar. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load we have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Call me if you need a friend. Call me. Oh, call your next door neighbor. Call me if you need a friend. Call me.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Now we're going to have our benediction and chalice extinguishing.
May we together be islands of compassion, refuges for the lost and despairing, well springs of healing, and people who know how to party. May we find our way home. So be it.
And this is the second time we get together and join hands, and we sing ourselves out with our closing song. Let there be.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternal.